Hello everyone, Dennis here. In this video, I'm going to discuss review GCE O Level Additional Mathematics October-November 2020 paper 2. The subject code is 4047, which is the Singapore MOE Syllabus. This video is brought to you by Ace with Dennis. Now, learning can be smart, not hard. Don't forget to subscribe and press the bell notification button to stop missing out free lessons from me.
Question 1. The expression 7 cosine theta plus 4 sine theta is defined for the range of theta from 0 to pi radians. 1. Using r cosine theta minus alpha, where r is greater than 0 and the range of alpha is from 0 to pi over 2, solve the equation 7 cosine theta plus 4 sine theta equals 6. 4 marks. Okay, so here's the solution. Obviously, right, when you look at the question, we have to convert this expression into the r formula in the form of r cosine theta minus alpha. Therefore, applying the r formula, we get the r value, which is square root of 7 square plus 4 square. We get square root of 65. Then we can also find the value of alpha, which is inverse of tangent 4 over 7, and the value of alpha is 0.51915 radians. So the angle must be in radians because from the question they give us the range of the angles, right, is in radians, same as this alpha, right? Okay, then we can now convert this equation into the r formula. 7 cosine theta plus 4 sine theta equal to 6, and the r formula becomes square root of 65 cosine theta minus 0.51915 equals to 6. We convert the equation into our formula so that we can solve this equation easily. So for this case, cosine theta minus 0.51915 equals 6 over square root of 65. So we can find the best angle, which is inverse of cosine 6 over square root of 65. We get 0.73145. Next, given that the range of the theta is from 0 to pi, our angle is theta minus 0.51915. Therefore, the range of this angle, right, is from negative 0.51915 to pi minus 0.51915. Given that from the equation, cosine this angle is a positive value, so cosine is positive, then we can determine that the angle is in the first and the fourth quadrant. Therefore, this angle theta minus 0.51915 equals the first quadrant 0.73145, which is from the best angle, and the fourth quadrant is 2 pi minus 0.73145. Then we can move on to find the value of the theta, right, which is 0.73145 plus 0.51915, and the second angle is 2 pi minus 0.73145 plus 0.51915. So we get theta is 1.251 and 6.071 radians. But we will have to reject the second answer because we know that the theta is in this range, right, 0 to pi. So 6.071 is out of the range because pi is 3.142, so this is larger than 3.142.
Next, we move on to part 2. State the largest and the smallest values of 80 minus 7 cosine theta plus 4 sine theta square and find the corresponding values of theta. 4 marks. Okay, here's the solution. Right, so from the expression given, firstly, we can convert this 7 cosine theta plus 4 sine theta into the r formula that we have found in part 1. Okay, and when you square it, we can this bracket we get 80 minus 65 cosine square theta minus 0.51915. Alright, so this cosine square, right, since it is square, then we know that this whole value will be greater than 0, or at least equals to 0. So the largest value will be 80 because cosine square can be 0, where this value is 0. Okay, and cosine theta minus 0.51915 is equal to 0. Hence, the angle will be pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2, because cosine angle equals to 0, right? The angle should be 90 degrees or 270 degrees. Okay, but we have to express the value in radian. Then we move on to find the angle theta here, right, which is pi over 2 plus 0.51915 and 3 pi over 2 plus 0.51915. We press calculator, the value of the theta will be 2.090 and 5.232. And the first angle, right, we leave the answer as 3 significant figures, and we reject the second answer because again it is out of the range. Okay, next we move on to find the smallest value, which is 80 minus 65, because if you look at this expression, 80 minus 65 cosine square, the angle, right? So this value, the largest can go is 1. So 65 times 1. So the smallest value becomes 80 minus 65. Okay, so which gives us 15. And as I mentioned just now, cosine square theta minus 0.51915 is equal to 0. Right now we can start to find the angle. So cosine theta minus 0.51915 can be plus minus 1 because the square root of 1, right? Plus minus. Then the angle can be 0, can be 2 pi. So the theta will be 0.51915 and 2 pi plus 0.51915, which gives us 0.519 and 6.802. And we have to reject the second angle because again it is out of the range, and for the first angle we leave the answer as 3 significant figures. So this is the answer for part 2. Question 2. A. Solve the simultaneous equations. 3 marks. The equations are y equals 2x squared minus 7 and y equals 3x plus 20. So here's the solution. First, given these two equations, y equals to 2x squared minus 7 and y equals to 3x plus 20, we can see that one equation is non-linear equation and another equation is a linear equation. Hence, we can only use substitution method, right? We can't use elimination method. Okay, so we label the equation first. This is the first equation and this is the second equation. So since both make y the subject, we can just equate both equations. Equation 1 equals to equation 2, which gives us 2x squared minus 7 equals to 3x plus 20. Then we just solve this equation. So we get 2x squared minus 3x minus 27 equal to 0. Then we factorize it, we get x plus 3 times 2x minus 9 equals to 0. So x plus 3 equals to 0 and 2x minus 9 equals to 0. So x equals to negative 3 and another one, x equals to 9 over 2. So then we move on to find the y value. For the first y will be y equals to 3 times negative 3 plus 20. So what I do is I just substitute x equals to negative 3 into the second equation. Then I press calculator, I get y equals to 11. For the second y is y equals to 3 times 9 over 2 plus 20. Do the same thing, substitute the x equals to 9 over 2 into the second equation. We get this, and hence the y is 33.5. Next, B. Find the greatest value of the integer a for which ax squared plus bx minus 2 is negative for all x. 3 marks. Alright, so firstly, study this question. Right, we are given this quadratic expression and they tell us that this whole thing is negative for all the values of x. Alright, so firstly, for the expression to be negative for all x, right, we know that b squared minus 4ac must be less than 0. This is the determinant, right? So now from here, our b is 5, right? A is a, right? And then c is -2. So just substitute here. So 5 squared minus 4a times -2 less than 0. Okay, so then we just actually to solve this equation, right? 5 squared is 25, then minus 4 times -2 we get plus 8a less than 0. Then 8a is less than -25, a is less than -25 over 8. Or a is less than -3 and 1 over 8. Hence, the greatest value, right, as asked by the question, the greatest value of the a will be -4. Then this is the answer. Next, C. Find the values of the constant C for which the line y equals 4x plus c is a tangent to the curve y equals to x squared plus cx plus 21 over 4. 3 marks. Okay, here's the solution, right? We can actually equate these two equations, right? Since both are y, right? So 4x plus c equals to x squared plus cx plus 21 over 4. And the next thing is their tangent. This line is tangent to this curve, right? So that's why we can equate them together because the tangent touched the curve at one point. Alright, then we rearrange this equation to form the quadratic equation in the form of x squared plus bx plus c, right? So we get this, right? So this is x squared, this is the x term, and this is a constant term. To let the line to be the tangent to the curve, so the b squared minus 4ac must be equals to 0. Okay, because it touched at one point, then we only have one solution. So our b will be c minus 4, the x term here, right? 4 and a is 1, right? And c will be this whole thing, 21 over 4 minus c equal to 0. So next thing is expand all the brackets here. We get c squared minus 8c plus 16. So minus 21 plus 4c equals to 0. Right? Then simplify further. We get c squared minus 4c minus 5 equal to 0. Factorize, we get c plus 1 times c minus 5 equal to 0. Hence, c equals to -1 or c equals to 5. This is the answer. Question 3, part 1. By considering the general term in the binomial expansion of bracket 3 over x squared plus x to the power 8, explain why every term is dependent on x. 3 marks. So here's the solution. First, we need to apply the general term formula, which is Tn equals NCR a to the power n minus r, p to the power r. For this case, our n is 8, the a is 3 over x squared. Alright, so this is the n, this is the a, and this is the b, which is x. Right, so just substitute inside this formula, we get 8 choose r, bracket 3x to the power -2 to the power 8 minus r, and the b is x to the power r. Then we simplify this equation, right? So what we need to do is we have to split or separate the constant and the x, right? So the constant is 8 choose r times 3 to the power 8 minus r, and the x term, right, will be x to the power -16 plus 2r times x to the power r. And we still can combine these two together, which is 8 choose r times 3 to the power 8 minus r, x to the power -16 plus 2r plus r, and it becomes 8 choose r times 3 to the power 8 minus r, x to the power -16 plus 3r. Okay, so we have obtained the general term for this expansion. Okay, so now in order to be independent of x, the power of the x must be equals to 0, which is negative 16 plus 3r equals to 0. Then we solve this equation. We find that the r is equals to 16 over 3. However, this value r is not an integer. Hence, this shows that every term in this binomial expansion is dependent on x. Part 2. Find the term independent of x in the expansion of 3 over x squared plus x to the power 8 times 5 minus 2x. 3 marks. Here's the solution. Given the expansion 3 over x squared plus x to the power 8 times 5 minus 2x, we can rewrite this into indices form, right? 3 over x squared becomes 3x to the power negative 2, then plus x to the power 8 times 5 minus 2x. So in the previous question, part 1, right, we know that when you expand this binomial expansion, we get the general term to be 8 choose r times 3 to the power 8 minus r times x to the power negative 16 plus 3r. Okay, and this whole thing times with 5 minus 2x. Alright, we also know that in the part 1, question part 1, right, there is no independent terms here, right? So in order to have a term that is independent of x, there is only one combination, which is this general term multiply with negative 2x. It cannot multiply with the 5 because it won't get any term that is independent of x, right? And since we need to multiply this term into 2x, right? This is x power 1. The power of the x here must be negative 1 so that the x can cancel out. Okay, then from here we can solve this equation. We get 3r equals to 15 and r is 5. Okay, then we know that the fifth term in this expansion will multiply with a negative 2x becomes a term that is independent of the x. Right, then we substitute the value here into this general term. So it becomes 8 choose 5 times 3 to the power 8 minus 5 times x to the power negative 16 plus 3 times 5. Alright, and this one just copy down 5 minus 2x. Okay, so the term here is 1512 x to the power negative 1. Okay, now can you notice that if I multiply this in with this negative 2x, the x cancel out. Right? So the term independent of x will be negative 2 times 1512. And the answer is negative 3024. And this is the answer. Question 4. Given this diagram, the diagram shows a circle passing through the points A, B, and C. The straight line SAT is a tangent to the circle. The points D and E lie on AB and AC respectively and are such that BCED is a cyclic quadrilateral. Prove that DE is parallel to SD. 5 marks. Alright, so from the question here, most of the information described in the question already shown on the diagram. There's one thing that you need to take note, which is BCE is a cyclic quadrilateral. Okay, so you have to prove that DE is parallel to SD. Now, here's the solution. Firstly, by alternate segment theorem, this angle equals to this angle, which is angle BAS equals angle BCA. And By cyclic quadrilateral property, we know that angle BDE plus angle BCA equals to 180 degrees, which is this angle plus BCA equals 180 degrees. Okay? Which means that angle BDE equals to 180 degrees minus angle BCA. Also, BDA is a straight line. Therefore, angle BDE plus angle ADE is 180 degrees. So BDE is the same angle, and this is angle ADE. So angle BDE equals 180 degrees minus angle ADE. Notice that this angle, this equation and this equation have the same subject, which is angle BDE. Therefore, I label the first equation as equation number 1 and the second equation as equation number 2. Then, we equate these two equations together. We get 180 degrees minus angle BCA equals to 180 degrees minus angle ADE, which means that angle BCA equals to angle ADE. Now look at the diagram. This is angle BCA and this is angle ADE. Also, we already know that angle BAS equals to angle BCA, hence angle BAS is equals to angle ADE as well. So which is this angle with this angle. So by alternate angle property, we can conclude that DE is parallel with ST. Hence, proven. Question 5. A. Represent the solution set of 15 bracket 1 plus 2x greater or equals to x bracket 19 minus 2x on the number line. 4 marks. B. Part 1. Clearly labeling each graph, sketch on the same axis the graphs of y equals 3x to the power 1/3 and y equals 1/3 x to the power of negative 3 for x greater than 0. 2 marks. Part 2. Show that the x-coordinate of the point of intersection of your graphs satisfies the equation x to the power of 10 equals 1 over 729. 2 marks. Alright, here's the solution for A. This is the inequality given 15 bracket 1 plus 2x greater or equals to x bracket 19 minus 2x. The first step we need to do is expand the bracket, then we get 15 plus 30x greater or equals to 19x minus 2x squared. Then we form quadratic inequalities, which we get 2x squared plus 11x plus 15 greater or equals to 0. We factorize it, we get x plus 3 times 2x plus 5 greater or equals 0. Then we can start to draw the quadratic graph. The factors are negative 3 and negative 5 over 2. It is a smiley face and it is greater than 0, so with this region and this region, because both are above the x-axis. Therefore, the range for the x will be x is less than or equals to negative 3 or x is greater or equals to negative 5 over 2. Now, I want to label the inequality on the number line. So the first one, x is less than or equals to negative 3. So I will have an arrow pointing to the left with one black dot. Another one is greater than negative 5 over 2. So the arrow will point to the right with a black dot as well, because we have the equal sign. For B, part 1, so I want to plot the graphs, right? And it must be greater than 0, x must be greater than 0, so it means that we only consider the positive part of the x. So for the first equation, which is y equals to 3x to the power negative 1/3, 3x to the power 1 over 3. This is how the graph looks like. And the next equation is y equals to 1 over 3 x to the power negative 3, and this is how the graph looks like. Okay, so these graphs are standard graphs. You have to remember the shapes. Now for part 2, so these two graphs intersect at one point. Therefore, we can equate these two equations to find the x-coordinate of the point. So for this case, it's 1/3 x to the power negative 3 equals 3x to the power 1 over 3. So it is 1 over 3 cube equals 9x to the power 1/3. We cross multiply, we get 1 over 9 equals x to the power 1 over 3 times x cubed. Alright, so since it is multiplied and we have the same body, which is x, we can add the power together, which is x to the power 1/3 plus 3 equals 1 over 9. We get x to the power 1 over 3 equals 1 over 9. So since we want to get x power 10, then we cube root both sides. We cube both sides, which is x to the power 10 over 3 cube equals 1 over 9 cube. So that the 10 over 3, the denominator will be cancelled out. We get 10 to x to the power 10 equals 1 over 729. Hence, shown. Question 6. The table shows to three significant figures the population P in millions of a country on January 1st at intervals of 5 years from 1995 to 2015. The variable x is measured in units of 5 years. So here is the table. 1. On the grid below, plot ln P against x and draw a straight line graph. 2 marks. I will show you the grid later in the next slide. Part 2. Find the gradient of your straight line and hence express P in the form a e to the power of kx, where a and k are constants. 4 marks. 3. If this model for the population remains valid, find the first year of the interval in which the population first exceeds 8 million. 3 marks. Alright, so these are the questions. I will discuss the solution in the next page. Now let's look at the first part of the question. On the grid below, plot ln P against x and draw a straight line graph. 2 marks. Right, so first what we need to do is we want to find the value of ln P, as it is given the value of P. So ln P for the first value 3.32, we get 1.20. Then we continue to find the rest of ln P. So the second one we ln 3.75, we get 1.32. The next one we get 1.44, 1.57, and 1.69. Okay, so once we get all these values, then this is the grid given. You can notice that the y-axis is ln P and the x-axis is just x. Therefore, we can follow the coordinates, right? Let's say the first point is 0 and 1.2. So this will be the point, followed by 1 and 1.32. 1 and 1.32, so the point will be here. The next one, x value is 2, ln P will be 1.44, and this is the point. Next one, x is 3, ln P is 1.57, this is the point. And the last point, 4 and 1.69, so this will be this point. Then we just use a ruler to draw a straight line and connect all these points. So this is the graph for the first part that we need to draw. Okay, now we move on to part 2. find the gradient of your straight line and hence express P in the form A e to the power of kx, where A and k are constants for marks. Okay, so look at the question. The first thing you need to do is to find the gradient. Apply the gradient formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You can choose any point from the table. Let's say I choose 2 points, right? The first point is the last point, so the y2 and x2, right? So y2 is 1.69, x2 is 4, and y1 is here, right? 1.2, and x1 is 0. The rest we just press calculator, we get 0.1225. Next, we can form the equation of this straight line by applying this formula. Y minus y1 equals m bracket x minus x1. Then our y will be ln p. y1, we can choose the first point, 1.2, for y1 equals the gradient 0.1225, which we get here, and then bracket x minus the x1, which is 0 here. Okay, but of course you can choose any points here, right, and substitute into this equation. You should get the same answer. So next one, make ln p the subject. So ln p will be equals 0.1225x plus 1.2. Alright, and the next thing we need to do is we need to express p in the form ae to the power of kx. So now what we do is we anti-log this equation. So the p will be equals to e to the power of 0.1225x plus 1.2. And since this is indices, right, the power is plus, we can split them, becomes multiply. Okay, so p equals e to the power of 0.1225x times e to the power of 1.2. So the plus becomes multiply here, and then we see that e to the power of 1.2 is a constant. We can press calculator, we get 3.32 e to the power of 0.1225x, and we have expressed the p in the form of a e to the power of kx, where a is 3.32 and the k is 0.1225. Alright, part 3. If this model for the population remains valid, find the first year of the interval in which the population first exceeds 8 million. 3 marks. Right, so the first thing you need to do is we need to convert the description here into this inequality. So the p is the number of population in million, right? It must be exceeding 8 million, so that means it's greater than 8. And we know that p is 3.32 e to the power of 0.1225x and greater than 8. Then we solve this inequality, right? So we first divide both sides with 3.32, we get e to the power of 0.1225x greater than 2.40955. Then we ln both sides, we get 0.1225x greater than ln 2.40955. We solve this inequality, we get x is greater than 7.18. In other words, the minimum value of x is 8, right? But it doesn't mean it is 8 years. Don't forget that, as described in the question, 1 unit of x means 5 years. So the question is find the first year that the population will first exceed 8 million. Alright, so the first year will be 1995, because we start with 1995 plus 8 units of x times 5 years, right? 1 unit of x means 5 years, so it's 8 times 5, and the year is 2035. Question 7, part 1. Show that d over dx bracket x times 3x minus 5 to the power 5 over 3 equals bracket 8x minus 5 times 3x minus 5 to the power 2 over 3, 5 marks. Here's the solution. First, we apply the product rule, as we can see that this differentiation consists of two different expressions. The first is x, the second is 3x minus 5 to the power 5 over 3. So we can assign u as x, therefore du over dx equals 1, and v equals 3x minus 5 to the power 5 over 3, hence dv over dx equals 5 over 3 times 3x minus 5 to the power 2 over 3 times 3. We rearrange and simplify. It is 5 times 3x minus 5 to the power 2 over 3. Now apply the product rule formula. D over dx uv equals u dv over dx plus v du over dx. Hence d over dx x times 3x minus 5 to the power 5 over 3 equals, the first u is x, dv over dx is 5 times 3x minus 5 to the power of 2 over 3, then plus the v is 3x minus 5 to the power 5 over 3, and the dvu over dx is 1. Okay, so now we simplify, we get 5x times 3x minus 5 to the power of 2 over 3 plus 3x minus 5 to the power of 5 over 3. And from here, you can see that the common factor will be 3x minus 5 to the power of 2 over 3. So we can factorize this 3x minus 5 to the power of 2 over 3. The remaining is 5x plus 3x minus 5 to the power of 3 over 3. Okay, why? Because 3 over 3 plus 2 over 3, we get 5 over 3. Okay, which means this is to the power 1. Then we can actually ignore the bracket. Then becomes 3x minus 5 to the power 2 over 3 times 5x plus 3x minus 5. So we get 3x minus 5 to the power 2 over 3 times 8x minus 5. Okay, so actually we have reached the answer that they want, right? We just rearrange 8x minus 5 times 3x minus 5 to the power 2 over 3 so that it is same as the question. Hence shown. Part 2. Hence, find integration of x times 3x minus 5 to the power 2 over 3 dx, giving your answer in the form k times x plus 1 times 3x minus 5 to the power 5 over 3 plus c, where k is a constant to be found, and c is a constant in integration which cannot be found. 4 marks. Right, here's the solution. This question is the question where we need to start with differentiation, then integration. Right, so we already know from part 1, right, the differentiation d over dx of x times 3x minus 5 to the power 5 over 3 equals 8x minus 5 times 3x minus 5 to the power 2 over 3. Okay, so we want to integrate this thing, right? So from here we can actually see this is 3x minus 5 to the power 2 over 3, which is this one, this bracket, times the x. So from here we have 8x here. Therefore, what we need to do is we need to expand this part, right, the right hand side. So it will be 8x times this whole thing minus 5 times this whole thing. Okay, so this thing we don't do anything at the left hand side, we just copy down, right? And then the next thing is we try to make x times 3x minus 5 to the power 2/3 to be the subject. So that's why we move this 5 times 3x minus 5 to the power 2/3 to the left hand side, becomes plus this whole expression here, or this whole term here, right? And then we want to make x times 3x minus 5 to the power 2/3 as the subject. So what we need to do is divide by 8 for both sides. I will get 108 times bracket, put a big bracket here, right? And then everything here we just copy down, we get this whole thing. Alright, so this is the subject that we need to integrate. So now the next thing what we need to do is just integrate both sides. Therefore, integrate x times 3x minus 5 to the power 2 over 3 dx equals integration of the whole thing here, right? 1 over 8 times d over dx times bracket x times 3x minus 5 to the power 3 plus 5 times 3x minus 5 to the power 2 third, right, dx. Alright, so now we can integrate term by term, right? This is the first term, this is the second term, so we integrate d over dx, x times 3x minus 5 to the power 3 dx plus 5 integration of this whole thing, right? Do take note that I actually take out the 5 here because this is just a constant. We can just leave it outside so that it won't influence our integration here. Okay, the next step, if we integrate something is differentiated, it will remain the same. So it's just x times 3x minus 5 to the power 3, right? The 1/8 just copy down. And then 5 is just outside, right? Integration of 3x minus 5 to the power 2 third will be 3x minus 5 to the power 3 over power 3 times 3, right? So the power plus 1, okay? And the power, we copy down at the bottom. We differentiate the bracket here, we get 3 here. Okay, then plus a c. Next, of course, we need to simplify. The 3 can cancel with the 3, right? The 5 can cancel with the 5. Therefore, it will be 1 over 8, then bracket x times 3x minus 5 to the power 3 plus bracket 3x minus 5 to the power 3, then plus c. Okay, so again, we can see that the common factor inside this bracket is 3x minus 5 to the power 3. So we factor it out and left with this x plus 1. Okay, 1/8 just copy down and plus a c. So this is the answer. Okay, now move on to part 3. Find the value of integration from -1 to 5 over 3 x times 3x minus 5 to the power 2 over 3 dx and explain what the result implies about the curve y equals x times 3x minus 5 to the power 2 over 3. 4 marks. Right, here's the solution. We already integrated this expression, right? X times 3x minus 5 to the power 2 third. Okay, when you apply here, right, the answer is 1 over 8 times 3x minus 5 to the power 3 times x plus 1. But we have a limit here from -1 to power 3. So it's -1 here, 5 over 3 is here. Okay, then we just substitute 5 over 3 inside and then minus substitute -1 inside the bracket, right? This is what we get. Okay, then move on. We found that you will notice this is 5 minus 5 makes the whole thing to be 0, right? So this whole term will be 0. Similarly, we look at here -1 plus 1. This is 0, right? Makes this whole term to be 0. Then we get 0 minus 0, and of course the result is 0. That's why the question asks, explain what the result implies about the curve of this equation. So what does it mean? It means that the curve covers two equal areas bounded to x-axis from -1 to 5 over 3. One area is bounded above the x-axis and one is below the x-axis. The area above the x-axis gives positive value and the area below the x-axis gives the negative value. Therefore, when we add together, we'll get a 0. Alright, so if we plot it, from here I actually use the computer to help me to plot this graph, and you can notice that it looks like this from -1 to 5 over 3. So -1 is this area, okay, and 5 over 3 is 0 to 5 over 3 is this area. So A1 and A2, they are having the same value. Alright, but A1 is a negative value, A2 is a positive value. So when we add these two values together, we get 0 here. So remember that integration means the area under the graph. Question 8. A. Solve e to the power x times 1 plus e to the power x equals 3 over 4. 3 marks. Here is the solution. Given this equation, e to the power x times 1 plus e to the power x equals 3 over 4. First, we need to expand the bracket, right, we get e to the power x plus e to the power 2x equals 3 over 4. Okay, so if you observe carefully, this equation can be rewrite as a quadratic equation, where it is e to the power x, then bracket outside square, plus e to the power x minus 3 over 4 equals to 0. Okay, so you can treat this e to the power x as the y, then y square plus y minus 3 over 4 equal to 0. And then I don't like the fraction here, so what I can do is I just multiply by 4 for both sides. I will get 4 times e to the power x square plus e to the power x minus 3 equal to 0. Then I can factorize this equation similar with the quadratic equation, where I will get 2e to the power x minus 1 times 2e to the power x plus 3 equals to 0. Which means that 2e to the power x minus 1 equal to 0, or 2e to the power x plus 3 equal to 0. So the first answer will be e to the power x equals to half, then we ln both sides to get the value of x, which is ln half. And the value of the x will be 0.693, which has been rounded up to 3 significant figures. For the second answer here, it means that e to the power x equals to negative 3 over 2. And there is no solution because e is a positive number. We don't have, doesn't matter with the value of the x, right? We will not get a negative value. Therefore, there is no solution. B. Solve the equation 1 plus log 2y plus 1 over log 8 2 equals log 2 bracket y plus 3, 4 marks. Okay, so here's the solution. This is the equation given. Notice that there are 3 logs here, but one of the log has different base. This is base 2, this is base 2, and this is base 8. So we have to change the base for this log. Alright, so if you apply changing the base law, right, for logarithm, we'll get log 2 8 over log 2 2. Okay, the rest we don't do anything, we just copy down 1 here, log 2y, and log 2y plus 3 on the right hand side. Next one. So log 2 2 is 1, right? And the rest we also don't do anything, we just copy. If it's 1 plus log 2y plus log 2 8 equals log 2 y plus 3. Alright, the next thing we need to do is we will group the logs at one side, the constant at another side. So for this case, it will be 1 equals log 2y plus 3 minus log 2y minus log 2 8. Okay, so if you remember, right, for logarithm law, minus means division. Alright, so then we have this log 2 y plus 3 over 8y. The next step is we can anti-log this equation, right? Since one side is a constant, the right hand side is a log, so we can apply the anti-log formula, which is 2 to the power 1 equals y plus 3 over 8y. Then we can solve this equation like a usual algebra equation, which we get 16y equals y plus 3, which means 15y equals 3. Therefore, y equals 1 over 5. This is the answer. Alright, part C. In order to obtain a graphical solution of the equation x equals ln bracket 2x plus 7 over 3 square, a suitable straight line can be drawn on the same set of axes as the graph of y equals 3 e to the power x over 2 plus 4. Okay, the first instruction is make e to the power x over 2 the subject of the equation x equals ln bracket 2x plus 7 over 3 square, and hence find the equation of this line. 3 marks. Okay, so as mentioned in the question here, right, make this the subject from this equation. So given this equation, x equals long bracket 2x plus 7 over 3 square. So we apply the anti-log, which you get e square equals to 2x plus 7 over 3 square. Okay, then we square root both sides. So square root of e power x equals square root of 2x plus 7 over 3 square. Hence, e to the power x over 2 equals 2x plus 7 over 3. So we have made e to the power x over 2 the subject here. Next, we substitute e to the power x over 2 equals 2x plus 7 over 3 into this equation y equals to 3e to the power x over 2 plus 4. So this is the part that we need to substitute. Therefore, the equation becomes y equals 3 times 2x plus 7 over 3 plus 4. Right? So the 3 can cancel. Then y equals 2x plus 7 plus 4. And the linear equation will be y equals to 2x plus 11. Question 9. Given this diagram, the diagram shows a parallelogram with vertices A coordinate as -5, 0, B coordinate 7, 5, C and D. The point E with coordinate 5, 6 lies on the diagonal BD of the parallelogram. The perimeter of the parallelogram is 46 units. 1. Show that the x-coordinate of D satisfy the equation 5x squared plus 6x equals 11. 7 marks. So here's the solution. For part 1, right, property of parallelogram, we know that AD will be equals to BC, right? As mentioned, this is a parallelogram, so AD will be equals to BC. The opposite sides will be equal length. AB equals to DC. AB equals to DC. So therefore, given the perimeter is 46, right, it means that 2AD plus 2AB equals 46. So we can find the length of AB since we know the coordinates of point A and coordinates of point B. We can find the length of AB, right? It will equals to square root of -5 minus 7 square plus 0 minus 5 square. And the length is 13 units. So we can update this equation. Therefore, 2AD plus 2 times 13 equals 46. Which means that AD is 46 minus 2 times 13 over 2. And the answer is 10. Next, let coordinates of D to be x, y. So the length of AD equals square root of -5 minus x square plus 0 minus y square. Alright, we already calculated the value of AD will be 10. Okay, equals square root of x plus 5 square plus y square. Then we square both sides to get rid of the square root here. And the equation becomes 100 equals x plus 5 square plus y square. Also, the gradient of DE equals to the gradient of EB. Right? Look at the diagram here. This is the straight line. Point D, E, and B lie on the same straight line. Okay? So that means the gradient of DE will be equals to the gradient of EB. Alright, so the gradient of DE will be y minus 6 over x minus 5. The gradient of EB will be 6 minus 5 over 5 minus 7. Right, because we know the coordinates of E and the coordinates of B. So y minus 6 over x minus 5 equals to -half. So y minus 6 equals to -half times x minus 5, which means y equals to -half x plus 5 over 2 plus 6. right? Therefore, y equals to negative half x plus 17 over 2. So, remember this is the first equation we get. This is the second equation that we get from the gradient. Now, we substitute y equals to negative half x plus 17 over 2 into 100 equals x plus 5 squared plus y squared. Therefore, the equation becomes 100 equals x plus 5 squared plus negative half x plus 17 over 2 squared. We expand the bracket, we get 100 equals x squared plus 10x plus 25 plus x squared over 4 minus 17 over 2x plus 289 over 4. Then we start to simplify this equation. We get 100 equals 5 over 4x squared plus 3 over 2x plus 389 over 4. Right, the next step, it becomes 11 over 4 equals 5 over 4x squared plus 3 over 2x. Then we multiply 4 for both sides, we get 11 equals 5x squared plus 6x. And it is the same equation that we need to prove, hence shown. Part 2. Determine the coordinates of D. Explaining why the diagram is necessary. 3 marks. 3. Find the coordinates of C. 1 mark. Here is the solution. For part 2, from part 1, we get this equation. 11 equals to 5x squared plus 6x. Right, we move the 11 to the right side, we get 0 equals to 5x squared plus 6x minus 11. We can factorize this equation, we get 0 equals to 5x plus 11 times x minus 1. So x equals negative 11 over 5, or x equals to 1. We reject this value, x equals to negative 11 over 5, because the diagram shows x coordinate of D must be positive. Alright, so you can look at here, D is at the positive side of the x-axis, therefore we reject this value, and this explains, right, why this diagram is necessary, because it will tell us that the x coordinate is positive. Then we find the y value, just substitute x equals 1 into this equation, so y equals negative half times 1 plus 11 over 2, and the y value is 8. Therefore, the coordinates of D will be 1, 8. C. Part 3. So let coordinate of C as AB. The midpoint of AC equals to the midpoint of BD, right? As this is a parallelogram, so this is one of the properties of the parallelogram. Okay, so now we know the coordinates of A, we know the coordinates of B and D, right? We just need to find the coordinates of C, so which is negative 5 plus A over 2, 0 plus B over 2 equals 7 plus 1 over 2, 5 plus 8 over 2. Then we compare separately, right, the x coordinate and the y coordinate. So the x coordinate is negative 5 plus A equals 7 plus 1. We solve this equation, we get A equals to 13. Similarly, we compare the y coordinate, then we get B equals 5 plus 8. Therefore, the B value will be 13. Right, so now we know that the coordinates of C will be 13, 13. Question 10. The function f is defined for x, the subset of the real number, and is such that f double prime x equals 48x squared plus 2e to the power of 2x minus 1. The line x equals half is the normal to the curve y equals fx at the point where y equals 1 over 4. 1. Find an expression for f prime x, 5 marks. 2. Hence, find an expression for fx, 4 marks. Here's the solution. So to find f prime x, just integrate f double prime x. Okay, so now f prime x equals integration of 48x squared plus 2e to the power 2x minus 1 dx, because this is f double prime x. We get 48x cubed over 3 plus 2e to the power 2x minus 1 over 2 plus d. Simplify, we get 16x to the power 3 plus e to the power 2x minus 1 plus c. Alright, the next thing we need to do is to find the value of c here. So the information given here is x equals to half, then the f prime x equals to 0. Why? Because it says that this is normal. Right, now we substitute the value inside x is half into this equation. F prime x is 0, so 16 times half cubed plus e to the power 2 times half minus 1 plus c. So we get 0 equals to 2 plus 1 plus c, therefore c equals to negative 3. Therefore, the f prime x equals 16x cubed plus e to the power 2x minus 1 minus 3. So for part 2, to find fx, we just need to integrate f prime x. So for this case, it's integration of 16x cubed plus e to the power 2x minus 1 minus 3 dx. So we just integrate this whole thing, right? We get 16x to the power 4 over 4 plus e to the power 2x minus 1 over 2 minus 3x plus c. Then we simplify, we get 4x to the power 4 plus half e to the power 2x minus 1 minus 3x plus c. Now the next thing again we need to do is to find the value of c. So the information given x equals to half and y equals to 1 over 4, right? Just substitute inside this equation. We get 1 over 4 equals to 4 times half to the power 4 plus half e to the power 2 times half minus 1 minus 3 times half plus c. Okay, so we get 1 over 4 equals 1 over 4 plus half minus 3 over 2 plus c. So just calculate, we get the c value equals to 1. Therefore, fx equals 4x to the power 4 plus half e to the power 2x minus 1 minus 3x plus 1. Part 3. Show that the equation of the tangent to the curve y equals fx at the point where the curve intersects the y-axis can be written as 2e bracket y plus 3x minus 1 equals 2x plus 1. 3 marks. Here's the solution. Okay, so from the previous question, right, we know that y equals to fx, which is 4x to the power 4 plus half e to the power 2x minus 1 minus 3x plus 1. So it intersects at y-axis, therefore x equal to 0. Now, the y-intercept will be f0, which means that we just substitute x equal to 0 into this equation, right? So we will get half e to the power negative 1 plus 1. So be careful here, right? When you substitute x equal to 0 into this term, it doesn't mean this whole term is 0. Okay, it will be this value. Then we calculate, we get 1 over 2e plus 1. The gradient of the tangent, right, can be obtained from this f prime x equals 16x cubed plus e to the power 2x minus 1 minus 3. Okay, so again the x is 0. Then the f prime 0 equals to 16 times 0 cubed plus e to the power 2 times 0 minus 1 minus 3. Okay, again be careful with this term because this term doesn't mean it is 0. It is just e to the power negative 1 minus 3 or 1 over e minus 3. Equation of tangent. Apply this y equals to mx plus c right? So this is my y-intercept and this is my gradient. So y equals to 1 over e minus 3 times x plus 1 over 2e plus 1. Alright, then we simplify further, we get y equals to 1 minus 3e over e, x plus 1 plus 2e over 2e. So both sides multiplied by 2e, we get 2ey equals 2 times 1 minus 3e, x plus 1 plus 2e. Okay, then we expand the bracket, we get 2ey equals 2x minus 6ex plus 1 plus 2x, not 2e. Alright, then we move all the terms consisting e to the left hand side. If not, we leave it as a right hand side. Okay, we get 2ey plus 6ex minus 2e equals to 2x plus 1. Then we can factorize 2e. Then bracket y plus 3x minus 1 equals 2x plus 1. Okay, now we compare this equation with the equation that we want to form. It is the same, right? So it wants us to show, then shown. Question 11. The volume of a cone of height h and base radius r is 1/3 pi r square h. Alright, so this is the formula of the volume of a cone. And given this diagram, the diagram shows a vertical cross-section of a container in the form of a cone with a height 25 cm and a base radius 15 cm. The container is initially empty. At time t equals to 0, liquid is allowed to flow in through a small hole close to the vertex. So it's over here with a small hole. The liquid, right, is allowed to flow into here with a hole. After t seconds, the height of the liquid in the container is 25 minus x, right? So this is x. This is total length is total height is 25. So therefore, the height of the liquid will be 25 minus x cm, and the volume of the liquid is v cm cubed. First question: show that v equals 3 pi times 635 minus x cubed over 25. 3 marks. So here's the solution. Firstly, before I show you the solution, right, we compare the general formula of the volume of the cone. It is 1/3 pi r square h. But we look at this equation that we want to form. The volume of the cone is 3 pi 625 minus x cubed over 25, right? So as described here, the x is related to the height of the cone, right? But we don't have the r here. Therefore, we need to eliminate the r. So what we need to do is, right, this is the radius of the smaller cone. Can you see or not? This picture actually made of one smaller cone and one bigger cone, right? So now we label this length as r, and the length above here, this is the bigger r. Okay, so we can see that this triangle is similar with this triangle. So therefore, we can form the ratio here, r over 15 equals x here, right, the height of the triangle here, x over 25, the height of the bigger triangle. Okay, the r is the base of the smaller triangle, and 15 is the base of the bigger triangle. Then we make r the subject. It is equals to 15 over 25x. We simplify, r equals to 3 over 5x. Now we can apply the formula of the cone. So v equals to 1/3 pi r square h. So now, right, in order to find the volume, the v is the volume of the liquid, right, which is this part. We need to find the volume of the bigger cone, then minus the volume of the smaller cone, right? So this v1 is the volume of the bigger cone, which is 1/3 pi r square. The r is 15, and the height is 25. Okay, when you calculate, we get v1 is 1875 pi. Then we move on to find the V2, which is the volume of the smaller cone, right? 1/3 pi r square h. The r is 3/5x, then square. The x will be the height of this cone. Then we simplify. We get V2 equals to 3/25 pi x cubed. Now the volume of the liquid will be V1 minus V2, which is the volume of the bigger cone minus the volume of the smaller cone. Right, V1 is 1875 pi, V2 is 3/25 pi x cubed. Okay, and we can factorize the common factor, which is 3 pi, bracket 625 minus x cubed over 25. Now we compare the equation that we need to form. They are the same, hence shown. Alright, now, given that the rate of flow of the liquid is kx squared cm cubed per seconds, where k is a constant. Part 2. Find an expression for dt over dx in terms of pi and k. 4 marks. Right, here's the solution. For part 2, right, we know that v equals 3 pi times 625 minus x cubed over 25. Alright, so we need to find dt over dx. So when I look at this, right, and it is given the rate, I know that this is rate of change question, right? So we have this formula for the volume of the water, then we differentiate this volume in terms of x, then dv over dx will be equals 3 pi times negative 3x squared over 25. Then we simplify, we get dv over dx equals negative 9 pi x squared over 25. Now, applying chain rule, dt over dx equals dt over dv times dv over dx. Alright, so start with dt and with dx. These two, right, must be the same. So we have dv here and dv here. Alright, now dt over dv is the rate that given, right, kx squared. But now the dt is at the top. Therefore, it will be the reciprocal of kx squared. We get 1 over kx squared times if dv over dx, which we have already got here, right, is negative 9 pi x squared over 25. Okay, so we simplify. Here we get dt over dx equals to negative 9 pi over 25k. Right, so this is the answer. Next, the liquid was allowed to flow for 72 pi seconds when the height of the liquid reached 12 cm. Part 3. By expressing t as a function of x, find the value of k. 4 marks. Right, here's the solution. So from part 2, we know that dt over dx equals negative 9 pi over 25k. Right, then I want to find t will be the integration of dt over dx, which is integration of negative 9 pi over 25k dx. So the answer we get is t equals to negative 9 pi over 25k x plus c. Since this is a constant, so it's just x plus c. Now, we want to find the value of c. So when t is 0, x is 25. Okay, so here you need to be careful. Remember that this x is not the height of the liquid. It is the height of the empty space, right? So when time is 0, that means this cone, right, or this container is empty. Therefore, this x will be the maximum, which is 25 cm. Right? Remember this, x is not the height of the liquid. So that's why when t is 0, x is 25. Then we just substitute these values into this equation. Right? 0 equals to negative 9 pi over 25k times 25 plus c. So c will be equals 9 pi over k. Therefore, t equals negative 9 pi over 25k x plus 9 pi over k. Next, when t equals 72 pi, then now the height of the liquid is 12 cm. Alright, so now this is not x equal to 12, but it is 25 minus x equals to 12. Right? So x is 13. So we substitute this value inside this equation. We get 72 pi equals 9 pi, negative 9 pi over 25k times 13 plus 9 pi over k. Right now, we simplify and solve this equation. We get 72k equals negative 117 over 25 plus 9. The k will be equals 3 over 50. And this is the answer. And that's all for this video. Thanks for watching. Do you have any thoughts, opinion, or experience to share? Write it down in the comments. We would love to hear from you. Do you like this video? Please don't forget to like and share to your friends. Until then, see you in the next video. Have a great day ahead.